Hello, good evening, and welcome to Ghana Connect. We are coming to you live on the Joy News channel on Multi TV and on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. My name is Daniel Daze. This year, we have been to your communities to find out what issues will influence your vote come December 7. Now, apart from roads, the issue of jobs featured prominently in our interactions with you. Here are some of the clips from ballot box interactions.
My question goes to the Honorable Member of Parliament for Boku Central, Honorable Ayarga. I want him to mention specifically the number of jobs he has created for the good people of Boku for 12 years in Parliament. The MCE did mention that out of the Association of Unemployed Graduate Association, they have employed 346 people. The MP should mention a number. The MP should mention a number of unemployed youth that he has employed in Boku here.
I'm Augustine Asangba. My stake is on, I would like to ask the parliamentary candidates what they will do to employ persons with disability who are graduates, for them to stop the hazards of going around looking for jobs. What would they do for them to get an automatic employment, so that they'll stop roaming the length and breadth of this country looking for job, and then staying in the house for wasteful years, more than 35 years before they get a job? Can they do any policy? Help us with a particular policy so that persons with disability will be automatically employed after they've completed their education. Thank you.
But in my little way, as the MP of Afajato South, we are involved in skills training. We have trained a lot of people in bread making, tailoring, beads making, a lot of areas. And what I also do is that in Afajato, more than 80% of my people are into farming. So quarterly, I manage with my 4% share of the common fund to provide them with, some of them with farm inputs to help them grow with even fertilizers. That is what we are trying to do. But there is also a big issue. Most of our youth who are unemployed, we really have to pay attention to them by introducing them into some of this skills training. But most of them are not ready. In fact, as one of my campaign messages, I promised I was going to use my common fund to pay for students to have, those who have failed their exams and have been sitting home for years, to organize classes for them. To my surprise, we didn't get the numbers to organize the classes for them. So we assist some of them to go.
You didn't get the numbers as in people passed too much or they didn't show up?
They didn't show up. People didn't pass through too much because it was, we actually did a research on that and realized that most of our youth, somebody will get an F in English and AAA in all other subjects, and for years have been sitting home.
Okay.
And so we wanted to make sure that the person rewrites the paper and does that. And if you ask the person, he will tell you, oh, I don't have money to re-register, but he's home.
Great. So we're looking at creating sustainable jobs. And how do you create sustainable jobs? It's to make sure that opportunities are sustainable. First of all, is it just about creating jobs, putting people in offices without raising revenue to support the continuous existence of the job, or is just for you to create jobs? Now, if you want to create an economy that is sustainable, that can run for long, you need to identify what the economy can rely on. That is how you can sustain the jobs that you create. In doing that, you need to identify the easiest way around doing things in the district. So my place, for instance, we are looking at agri and tourism. My district can boast of not less than 14 tourist sites. What are we doing with all that? So if you want to create jobs, you look at that aspect. That is one, setting the base, that's tourism. Setting another base is agri. These two bases that you need to set, once you set them right, the supporting jobs will come alongside with it.
How do you set those bases right?
Good. So with tourism as we speak now, I noticed that most of the tourist sites in my district are not developed. We are not getting the necessary visitors to come to our end. What do we do? One is to market the place. Two is to develop the place. Even one tourist site can create direct jobs of not less than 20 as we speak. And once you create that, people will come in. Estimation, if you even pick Afadato Mountain, annually, we receive not less than 7,000 visitors in a year.
Okay.
What do? Restaurants will feed along. Artisans will feed along.
I mean, for the sake of time, briefly, you've talked about this base, 20 jobs, and it will trigger to other jobs. Are these things you are doing or things you will do since you are in a position to do them?
Exactly. With the tourism side, there are things that I'm doing. As we speak today, yesterday, we did sword cutting for the development of the Tafi Atome Monkey Sanctuary. To develop the car park, develop the reception, make sure that when visitors come in, they would enjoy their stay.
Okay.
So once we do that, and with agric, we are trying to mechanize agric, you know, planting for food and jobs and all these things. These are things that we need to do to be able to boost the local economy. Okay. Once you do that, all other jobs will feed along, and the economy will be good in Afaja Total.
Thank you.
And those were your views from across the country. So tonight we ask how the parties intend to employ the teeming youth who are without jobs. Ghanaians all across the country will connect to explore. Now, connecting with me in studio very shortly, Ejao Onsian, who is Director of Research and Policy at the YEA, will be joining us. Hamza Suhuini, the former board member for the Ghana Road Fund 2014 to January 2017 and head of the Publicity Committee of the Road Fund. He's a member of the Youth and Jobs Committee of the NDC. Is with us in studio. Hamza, good evening. Great. Forgive us, we do a lot of our work in the morning. So, connecting with us via Zoom shortly is Ezekiel Osei, a graduate from the University of Ghana with a BSc in biochemistry. Ezekiel is unemployed. Robert Cedric Zhu is a graduate from the University of Development Studies. He graduated in 2018 with a BA in Development Studies. Robert is unemployed. Maxwell Dake completed the University of Education in 2018. He was unemployed until this year. He will share his experience with us and how he thinks the issue of jobs can be addressed. Remember, this is a special edition of Ghana Connect brought to you by Star Ghana with funding from UK Aid, the European Union, and the UK's Foreign Commonwealth and Development FCOD. Welcome to the program and welcome to all of our guests, including you, Hamza. In the first place, we know that jobs is an important part of the economy and it's an important part of any campaign. So I want to know from you when we come back what exactly the NDC's plan is and that's realistic path towards achieving that. Ijaya will also share the same with us right after this. Stay with us. This is Ghana Connect live on Joy News and Joy FM. Welcome back. This is Ghana Connect live on Joy News and Joy FM. Like I said earlier, we have with us in studio Eja Yao Insian. He's with the YEA, and Hamza Suhuini. Gentlemen, welcome once again. I want to quickly go over to Zoom because I have Robert, I have Cedric there as well, who are currently unemployed. Let me start with you, Cedric. Cedric, how has that experience been since you left school? Do you think that the politicians are living up to their rhetoric of creating jobs? Right, do I have Cedric with me?
Good evening, yeah, me.
Right. So Cedric, my question was, yes, you're loud and clear. I was asking you to honestly evaluate how these political parties have performed in providing jobs.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you to your viewers. I believe, as of now, we've had issues with employment in this country. Previously, we had an association called the Unemployed Students Association of Ghana. Sorry, Unemployed Graduates Association of Ghana, and their duty was to fight to be employed. Looking at how political parties have been able to brainwash people and be able to maneuver their way through things, I believe things are not done rightly, and that is why most Ghanaians youth are unemployed. I believe strongly that by policies and programs which are geared towards sharpening the skills and capabilities of graduates and also finding solutions to employment is one of the most important what do you call it? It's one of the most important aspects of nation building. I believe that for the youth of this country to be employed generally, we need that to have to be with the opposition and the incumbent should join together to find solutions to the problem.
Right.
Looking all around the country, we've been seeing people talking about unemployment, and as of now, we've even had a case in Kumasi where some unemployed youth had to resort to armed robbery, and it's not in the interest of the country. So I believe strongly that for us to find problems to unemployment in this country, the two political divide should come together and sit at a round table discussion and find solutions to it. Because looking at the all-sum game that political parties are playing in the country has diverse effects on the youth, and that if we do not find solutions to unemployment as of now, it's going to escalate. And when it escalates, just imagine what it is going to cost. So I believe strongly that the political parties should come together, find solutions to unemployment, and move towards a more lovely approach to making sure that this country becomes a developed one, as we are developing.
Thanks, Robert. Very passionate words there. Let me go over to Ezekiel. Ezekiel, you have also been unemployed, I understand, since 2018. Tell us, what's the reality of that experience? How do you keep body and soul together? How have you been doing that since you left school?
Okay. So I believe the issue of unemployment, I think it's mostly like in two phases, you understand? So like I honestly, I feel like the government on paper, it looks like they are doing a lot in terms of granting the youth avenues, you know, to be employed. It looks like that on paper, but in the reality, I think that things are a bit different, because sometimes, you know, it's not like necessarily that there are no jobs available, but I feel like sometimes the qualifications that, you know, the youth have, and then the kind of, you know, pay or allowances that are allocated to us, it's not really the best. And so sometimes, you know, you have jobs that are not really suitable to you as an individual. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, but you see, there are jobs on paper. If you look at maybe NAPCO and then the One District, One Factory by Akufo-Addo and President Akufo-Addo, and then on paper it looks like a lot of the youth are being employed, right? But in the reality on the ground, it looks like a lot of people are also unemployed. So you begin to ask yourself that, are these people, where are these people getting their figures from? Okay. You understand? Where are they getting their figures from to show that, oh, maybe we've created 2 million jobs or 3 million jobs or whatever it is that is going around on their website and other things. Right. And personally, I was working with a teaching institution, right? And then I quit after some time because, you know, the pay wasn't so good. And since then, I've been on my own working. I'm an entrepreneur trying to get my business also off the ground. So I believe that sometimes it's not necessarily that there are no jobs, but I feel like the job salaries and allowances are not the best to motivate people to actually even, you know, still be there. Because I was in and then I quit. That's very interesting. Tell us a bit more about that, Ezekiel. Why did you feel like you had to quit? Did you not have enough to cover your transportation? Was it that your basic needs were not covered? I want to go through a day in your life when you had that work and how that even compares to now that you're on your own. Okay, so I mean, back then, you know, I was staying at Spintex. So the job was at Oyarifa, right? And then from Spintex to Oyarifa, I mean, it was a bit, you know, cumbersome and like trying to go in and out every day. But, you know, when I moved back to Kaswa, it was too much. And then the transport alone. So the pay that I was getting couldn't even cover the transport alone every day. So it wasn't really an option. I just had to quit at the end of the day. And that's what I'm saying, that a lot of these jobs that are being offered to the youth, they have very, very meager salaries. You understand? And so it's like you are employed, but you are still going through economic hardship because yes, even though you are employed, it's like when you go to work and then you come back, you have nothing to show for it. You go to work from Monday to Friday, and then you have nothing to show for it at the end of the day. But right now, as an entrepreneur, I have a startup company, Zeke Technology, that I'm working on, and then I mean, it's way better than when I was working. I was employed, so to speak.
But Ezekiel, to be fair, if your current situation, now that you're working for yourself, is better than it was when you were doing a salary job, would it be fair to refer to you as unemployed? Do you not have a job that you're working on now?
Technically, you see, that's the thing. So in this case, I was forced to to try and work on something on my own. You understand? But I feel like maybe not everyone might have the chance to do that. And so in this case, I am not currently employed by someone as it is, but I am also doing something on my own because
you're self-employed.
Yes, I'm self-employed, that is.
Right. Let me go to Maxwell. And Maxwell, I understand, was unemployed for a while until this year. So tell us how that experience was like for you and how the job you have now has changed your circumstances.
The issue of unemployment, something that I will always with and be able with no name and just not like I want to use my life and use.
Maxwell, pardon me, give me just a moment. We have a bit of a challenge with your connection. And so we will come to you when we are able to get a more stable connection with you. We'll also connect with Florence McCaffrey, who is one of the young people who spoke passionately about jobs when the ballot box team visited Ho. Let me rather come to studio and begin with the thought that Ezekiel put out. Very realistically, Hamza, you make attempts to meet the needs of these young people, but it's about respectable jobs. It's about well-paying jobs. How is the NDC going to do this?
I think, first of all, good evening to our cherished viewers out there, and of course to my colleague on the other side of the divide, and most of our colleagues also joining us via Zoom. The reality is that this is not the first time the issue of graduate unemployment, and specifically youth unemployment, has become topical as far as our democratic dispensation is concerned. Indeed, it has traveled through different phases of our evolution, from independence up to date. So that clearly shows that even in times that we went through military takeovers, we experienced some kind of issues of youth unemployment and challenges with the whole economic setup of this country. And to be fair again, I am pretty much convinced that most of us around this table equally have we had our share of experiences when it comes to the issue of getting done with school and roaming the streets of Accra or any part of the country in search of jobs. I remember my own personal experiences when I finished university. I had to roam the streets for virtually a year or two, and when I was not getting any headway, the only viable option then was to seek an opportunity to go further my studies, do a master's degree. Not because I felt so strongly about that connection, but largely because the opportunity was lacking in terms of employment. So it is not a problem for those who are unemployed currently. Even those at the helm of affairs have had their share of experiences when it comes to the issue of unemployment. I believe most of us. But the promising side of it is the willingness of those in authority to be very objective and honest in terms of any proposals or proposition to the effect that we would do something when given the mandate as far as job creation is concerned. And I think that the NDC and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has demonstrated that openness and honesty in terms of our commitment to the job creation. If you remember, prior to the 2016 election, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, in making references to the huge investments we had made in infrastructure, made the point that these infrastructure investments were meant to prepare the country for eventual takeoff. And hopefully in his second time, he would look at specifically at job creation, by which time we would have had some fundamental economic blocks in terms of infrastructure to support any agenda for realistic and sustainable jobs.
So the NDC did not focus on job creation in its 8 years in power?
You see, it is about sustainability. And I think that listening to all of them, their concern has to do with sustainability. You agree with me that in pursuing infrastructure development under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the construction sector alone threw out a number of jobs. But the issue with the jobs it threw out had to do with sustainability. Because if the life of a project is 5 years, irrespective of the number of people you employ under that project, it simply meant that after 5 years, the project would end and these people would be thrown off the streets again. And the cycle of unemployment continues. But even in executing infrastructure projects, there were attempts at ensuring sustainable job creation. And we have always...
What were those attempts?
An example is youth entrepreneurship. You remember His Excellency John Dramani Mahama launched what we call the Yes Fund and made 10 million Ghana cedis seed capital available to identify and support youth who were interested in entrepreneurial development. The whole agenda was simply to empower people like Ezekiel. He's the one
who has set up his business.
Exactly. So to empower people like them to be on their feet and in the process support them to employ other young graduates.
What was the output of that program? How many jobs did you create in that directly?
It is difficult. The intention initially was not for government to create jobs. The intention was for government to identify and support entrepreneurs already in existence and needed that push, or those with beautiful plans who needed support. And I can readily remember there's this gentleman, Harmony Trends. I think they were the second or third beneficiaries of the Yes Fund. And you and I know that that is one clothing line that is doing well today. And
my question was, how many jobs did that investment of 10 million create? Because when you empower entrepreneurs, you are expected to get jobs out of them.
We were expected to get jobs out of them. But see, my problem with figures, I think he made reference to that. The beauty of figures is on paper. You get it? And for me, the concentration really, when we threw out that program, was not just about the figures. It was about realistic and sustainable jobs. And so I believe that the Yes Fund, because it's still in operation, they would be able to give us the figures. I will not sit here and throw out figures that I'm not so sure about. But there were proactive steps in that regard. And the Yes Fund was just one aspect of the initiatives. I remember that apart from the Yes Fund, government entered into public-private initiatives with the likes of Less Debt and Yes Debt, if you remember. Then through that, a number of young people were engaged. In somewhere 2014-2013, 2013, we were told that about 25,000 people were employed under the Less Debt and Yes Debt schemes. I hope I got the figures right. Then we also threw up what we call the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. And if you look at the whole concept behind the GIIF, it was simply meant to inject the needed financial resources in our private sector to support our private sector to equally throw out more jobs. And up till date, the initiative is still functioning. And I believe strongly that the current government is enjoying at the back of that. But you see,
wrap up for me in 30 seconds because we have to move to a couple of other guests. I want to get specifically from you what the idea is in the NDC's 2020 manifesto when it comes to creating jobs.
Clearly, you see, we have said that the thematic areas of the National Democratic Congress 2020 People's Manifesto all dovetails into the agenda to create jobs. This is simply because we have realized over time that the challenges confronting this country revolves around youth unemployment. And there's a danger if we don't approach it holistically. And that is why if you look at the 6 thematic areas of the NDC manifesto, everything points to job creation. And we have the Ejumapa plan. We intend to create 1 million jobs with the hope that every 1 year, government will be able to throw out 250,000 jobs for the youth. Apart from that, we have also spoken...
That's funded by the Big Push.
Yes. Apart from that, it falls under the Big Push. Under the Big Push, we are looking at injecting about $10 billion into the Ghanaian economy.
Okay.
And construction road sector, we are likely to inject substantial amounts in that regard. Okay. And quite apart from that, you see, there's also what we call stimulate packages for the likes of Ezekiel. This gentleman is a young guy starting up, but the laws of Ghana demands that he needs to pay tax. We have said that people like him will be exempted from the payment of tax.
Right. I will let you continue, but let me quickly say hi to Florence McCaffrey, who has joined us, and then I come back to Ijaya for a response. Good evening, Florence. Welcome to Ghana Connect. Florence, tell us what your view is about the efforts that have been made by both administrations on creation of jobs.
Okay. Thank you, Daniel, and good evening to your viewers.
Good evening.
Yeah. I think... Hello?
Florence, you're on air.
Okay. I think government sector cannot employ 50 or 30 population of the youth. But we have to focus on the informal sector. That is the shops, carpenters, those small traders. Most Ghanaian youth believe that government employ you or maybe white-collar jobs. Yeah, so white-collar jobs. Most youth are happy about that. So they've forgotten that agriculture is there. They can focus on that and build themselves. Let's take a kinky seller or someone who is into barbering, a barbering shop. You can save and go to school rather than focusing on government to employ you always. That's the mindset of the youth right now. So it's quite difficult for them to... Yeah.
And Florence, I'm curious that you brought that point because I understand that you yourself do some work with young people in their community. You engage them and try and empower them to, you know, be independent financially. Tell us a bit more about that and how can government, using methods like that, create jobs realistically?
Okay. Like my community where I stay, I have youth that are not ready to go to school, but they want to get involved in trade, maybe learn barbering, hairdressing, or sewing, or any handiwork. Okay, so if government can support them, give them a plan that they can go through it, they educate them on how to save when they are doing their small work. It will really help them.
Right. So, Florence, thank you. Let me come back and get a quick word from Ejaya in studio about what government's plans are. On the background of the fact that when it comes to the economy, for instance, in Imani's latest rating of your performance, according to your manifesto promise, was 52.53%. Empowering local businesses, you scored 48%. The industrial drive, you scored 56% as well. So it seems like beyond 50%, not much has been done by this government. Would you agree?
No, I totally disagree with that statement. But before I move on, let me say a very good evening to your viewers and our friends joining us through the power of social media. Daniel, the subject of youth unemployment is a bigger issue globally.
and the Ghanaian situation is just the same. If you look at the Ghana Living Standards Survey that was done by the Ghana Statistical Service, in 2016, it tells us that annually you have close to 250,000 young men and women seeking entry into the labor market. And you should take particular note of the date, 2016, the year 2016 was the time that my brother's government was in office. Now, 2016, the youth unemployment rate was 14.1%. When they came to government in 2008, we were around 9.53%. So the point I want to really make here is that when His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said that this election is about records, it is very important. Because Daniel, all of us around this table know that when it comes to manifesto promises, it's an indication of a government's aspiration. Now, if I come to you and tell you that I am going to do A, B, C, and D, clearly you would have to look at the sort of record I am coming up against or I am coming from. And between the two administrations, the fact that my brother struggled to even clearly highlight what the NDC's achievement was from 2008 up to 2016 is very problematic. He highlights the issue of Yes was able to support only 68 entrepreneurs up to this point. We came in under the Coordinated Accelerated Program, and to date, NEIP, we revamped. As a result of that program, we changed the Youth Enterprise Support Program to what we call the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. And now, as a result of that program, we've supported close to 19,500 entrepreneurs. We launched the Presidential Pitch Program. And as a result of that, we've been able to create close to a lot of direct and indirect jobs.
Can you give me a number? Because the point is, you are talking about a lot of inputs, but what is the output that has produced?
Yes, so I'm providing the numbers to you, and it is very key that we look at the numbers. So if you look at NEIP as it stands now, and why entrepreneurship is very important, because personally, I am not part of the school of thought who believes that government should always be creating these jobs. Because then what happens is that in economics, you have something called government fatigue. Government keeps spending on specific projects, and it gets to a point due to budgetary constraints, you are not able to sustain those projects. So it is in the long term very important that government looks at supporting entrepreneurs who can create these trickling down employment opportunities. That's why NEIP is important. So under NEIP, we've supported 19,000 startups. Under that, we funded close to 4,350 entrepreneurs, and in turn, they have created close to 92,000 direct jobs, verifiable. And we made these documents out there. Now, in 2015, or let me even go back to 2006, when the Kufuor government, His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor, launched a report, an investigation into the youth unemployment situation in the country, the report said that unemployment levels in the country had reached a level that was characterized as a national security threat. As a result of that, we put in an intervention called the National Youth Employment Program, NUYP. The records are there. In 2006, the program recruited close to 200,000 young Ghanaians across the country. Now, the NDC came in 2012, changed the focus of NYEP, called it the Ghana Youth Employment and Entrepreneurial Development Agency, GIDA. And the records of GIDA are there for everyone to see. Now, they changed it.
The key points that Florence and Ezekiel raised was that we must be creating jobs that are, first of all, decent, and that can support the people who are employed. But the question here is that if you are saying it's 92,000 people, can you confidently say that these people are people who are able to afford their transportation home, who are not under the underemployed category? Are they being formalized?
Good.
Can you confidently say that today?
Good. So Daniel, the point has to be made. All right, because what I don't want is that in the run-up to the next elections, we come back around this table and have the same conversation about unemployment. The challenge is that solving unemployment requires a multi-sectoral approach. So yes, you have the issue of unemployment, you have the issue of apprenticeship to look at, you have the issue of rent to look at. So I started only with entrepreneurship. That is one aspect of it. And looking at the efforts of this government, the significant investments we've made over the period, clearly we have a very good record. And if tomorrow we come that we are going to put in place new measures to ensure that we bring about new programs, we have a decent credibility to show the people of Ghanaians. So yes, entrepreneurship is one element of it. Now, what is the record in terms of government-created jobs? NDC under the YEA program was able to recruit only 42,000 people. Today, as a result of government interventions, YEA is recruiting close to 143,000 young Ghanaians across the country. Let's go to NAPCO. And why is NAPCO very important? Now, take account of the unemployment rate I mentioned, 14.1% in 2016. Now, in labor economics, we have something that we call labor guarantee programs or job guarantee programs. So if you have an unemployment rate that goes beyond 14%, then government must necessarily create programs that will reserve some aspects of the jobs for young people. And that is why we introduced NAPCO, because graduate unemployment was the biggest issue in the run-up to the 2016 elections. Now, yes, today, the NDC, because of their short-sightedness, will sort of belittle NAPCO. But NAPCO is a program, one such global job guarantee program that is helping our young graduates.
How sustainable are they?
So the question is, in terms of sustainability, it can be tackled at various angles. Now, when you are designing, NAPCO is what you call a stopgap program. Now, when you are designing stopgap programs, you have to include what you call an exit strategy. And that is what the NDC failed to do under programs like the YEA.
I'll let you apprise us of that very shortly, but I just want to quickly bring in, I had Cedric. Yes, I had Cedric with us. Cedric, you've heard the plans that the NDC has and the record that Hamza laid out. You've also heard HIL speak. How does that rub you as a young unemployed person? Does it give you hope that perhaps there are opportunities out there for you?
Well, thank you. There they go again. Politicians using politics to find their way through things. The problem is that you are giving us figures. We understand the figures. This is where we are having employment deficit. And in as much as we want to find solutions to the problem, we need to come together to find a solution. That is it. Not the NDC came to do this, the MPP also came to do this. I heard their policies and I heard about the NAPCO and stuff. But understanding NAPCO, now you are being paid 700 cedis for job. I believe is better because previously those people did not have jobs as it is. And with the 700, you have to, there's transportation inside, there is food inside. So the problem is, how much are you even going to save? So you see, savings is also one of the most important aspects when we are talking about employment, because the person must be able to save an amount of money for future use. Now, talking about planting for food and jobs, how many times can you plant in a year? You see, I think we need a more sustainable solutions to the unemployment deficit in this country.
But Cedric, you were speaking a lot about NAPCO. Are you a recruit of NAPCO yourself? Cedric, are you a NAPCO recruit yourself?
Yes, I'm listening, sir.
Are you a NAPCO recruit yourself?
No. I'm not part of them.
Right, but you must be familiar with them, with the figures that you wrote.
Also employed under NAPCO. I've also known of people who are also employed as teachers, and as of now, because of coronavirus, they're all at home looking for ways to feed themselves. But for these political parties, I crave their indulgence to come together for us to find a more sustainable approach to make sure that this employment deficit we're having in this country declines. And that's what I have to say.
Let me ask Maxwell to weigh in on the issue of support to entrepreneurs that both persons have talked about. Would you say it's sufficient? Would you say it's something that is accessible to you in Zeke Technologies?
Thank you very much. I think,
unfortunately, Maxwell, your connection again is not helping us. And let me do Ezekiel rather. And Ezekiel is a businessman. So Ezekiel, talk to me about your impression on what you've heard so far.
Hey. I heard you made mention of, using a multi-sectoral approach to tackling.
Right, Ezekiel, can you hear me?
Hello.
You would have to unmute your microphone so we can. Right, go ahead.
All right. I'm just saying that one of them made mention of adopting a multi-sectoral approch to tackling unemployment.
Please raise your voice for me, Ezekiel. I can hear you talking, but it seems like it's very difficult to hear you now.
So can you hear me now?
I think we can do a bit better if you can project your voice for me.
I'm saying that he made mention of employing a multi-sectoral approach to tackling the issue of unemployment. That I agree with. But you see, when you talk about, empowering entrepreneurs with, funds and all that, I just want to ask, are these measures being made available to the ordinary Ghanaian? You see, most of the time, these things are there, but you need to have people, or you need to know certain people in order to be able to access these government, funds or whatever it is that they are making available. But I just want to ask them that, are these things that they are making available, these funds, huge sums of money, are they available to the ordinary Ghanaian who perhaps has no one or knows no person in authority or something? Are these things available to them? Like, is it available to the ordinary Ghanaian just as it's available to everyone else? Because it looks like on paper they are doing so much work, they are investing so much money, but we are not seeing the results that it should. I mean, the result that we would like to see. You understand? But because it looks like both parties have tried to support entrepreneurs, and I'm just asking them that. Personally, I feel like these things are not available to the ordinary Ghanaian to access. You understand?
Right.
They are to the ordinary Ghanaian to access.
Right. Very interesting thoughts there. Let me ask Florence as well, because this is something that Florence does in helping young people as well reach some sort of upward mobility. When you hear what is being said about supporting businesses and direct employment, would you say that they are on the right track, Florence?
Well, what I can say is both parties are doing so well. But what your guest is saying about NAPCO, let's take NAPCO. A lot of youth are employed, and it's only 3 years. Are they going to stay for that 3 years and they are unemployed again? That shouldn't be it. Why not involving them into a different sector, let's say agriculture? Educate them on how to go into agriculture or any handiwork that can help them to sustain their life, not only for that 3 years that they will be employed, but it will sustain them for long. Why not government implement policies that they can save, and it will take them for long? Even if they are not working, after 50 years, they can still use that money. It's not that limit or 3 years limit employment we are looking for.
So when you say training in agriculture, for instance, I want you to shed some more light on it. What is the outcome that you want to see?
Okay. A lot of youth, especially Ghanaians, they all have the mindset of white-collar job. I want government to employ me, and I want to wear coats and go to work. No. The vocational skills should be implemented in DHS. They should teach them what they have to know at the basis, like catering, sewing, basketry, and a lot of things. When that happens, they have a lot of handiwork at hand.
Okay.
So when they go out and they didn't find any work to do, they can still focus on that handiwork.
Okay. Was that Cedric who wanted to make a point? Thank you, Florence. Was that Cedric who wanted to make a point? Or was it Ezekiel? Okay. Maxwell is connecting via telephone now. Sorry about the mix-up with the phone, with the Zoom connection there. But Maxwell, you haven't joined. You're now joining the conversation. So I just want to get your general thoughts, especially having heard what you've heard about government's efforts to tackle the job creation issue, and not just this government, but the previous one as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you, and please pardon me for my network challenges. I think the issue of unemployment is something that I'll describe it as we are all living with it. It is not gone. They have all given their points on what they have done in order to eradicate this challenge. But you and I know that these solutions are all unsustainable. imagine that in the next few years, my colleagues who are undergoing NAPCO programs will all have to come back home and join the unemployment queue. And it's all disheartening. So I want to focus on a more suitable job that is sustainable. And let me use myself as a tool for that. After school, if I should recount the kind of stress we go through within a short period of time, it's not easy, especially some of us who have come from a less privileged home, who struggle to come out from school. That's not the easy. Initially, I was willing to do something for myself, but the question is, where is the capital or the base capital to initiate this program? There was nothing like that. And that is the challenge. My sister was talking about agriculture. I think it is one of the aspects that governments have not taken key look on that. Because we know that in terms of agriculture, we can expand our facilities to make way for everyone to have at least employment over this. Because you know the pressure on public service jobs and even the private sectors, they are not even able to pay up to standard. That will cater for you and your family and co. And so I agree with her on the aspect of agriculture. You can see that all their submissions, they have low key on that aspect. But I expect government to also expand. Many will be willing, like myself, if there is an opportunity at the agriculture sector, like what they introduced this planting for student job. We know it, but it has still not lived to standard. That will help in shaping our life as youth. So in ending, I also urge that they should reconsider their decisions when they are creating jobs for the youth. At least something that will sustain us to our future, so that we can also have a better plan for ourselves, our community, and the general country.
Maxwell, thank you so much. Whilst the submissions were coming in, Hamza, you wanted to make a point.
I think that...
so that we can go ahead with that.
Dave, it was deliberate in my opening remarks when I tried to run away from figures in terms of what the NDC government did and what the NPP did. Because listening to them, they are those on the ground. Their response seemed to suggest that they are fed up with the figures we threw out as politicians in terms of what we have done in the various sectors. Not because the figures are not there. So let me just give you an example. Between 2013 to 2014, Youth in Agri program alone under the NDC government created about 47,000 direct jobs. Road contracts generated 950 jobs in terms of local content for a young contractor or 2 or 3 guys who could go and also be able to secure about 45,000, 90,000, 100,000 jobs periodically or routinely. And we recorded over 555,000 indirect jobs in terms of labor supplies under the construction industry. Again, under the Eco Brigade, somewhere 2012, if you remember, 2013, we recruited over 11,000 youth. Civil service alone, somewhere 2011, we recorded about 982 recruitments into the civil service. So you see, if you make additions, the NDC within that period would have been able to boast of over 1 million employment in terms of direct jobs for the Ghanaian people. But the reality is that I share in their frustration. We throw out these figures on daily basis because of the nature of our unemployment rate. It really does nothing in terms of solving the issue. What they are simply telling us as politicians is that they are fed up. They actually want to wake up on daily basis and feel that there's something to be done.
So what difference are you making?
And you see, if you look at our manifesto, it responds to the lady, what's her name? Florence. It responds exactly to the concerns being raised by Florence, especially in the agriculture sector. The NDC government has said that under the National Apprenticeship Program, we are going to identify people, youth, who are jobless, and ensure that we train them in specific skills and prepare them for the job market. Either they want to join the public service, civil service, or private companies, we prepare them adequately for that. And as part of the mechanisms under the National Apprenticeship Program is the agriculture sector. In fact, just recently, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama indicated his commitment to make agriculture sexy. That was his word. Because you appreciate the fact that if you look at the historical antecedents of agriculture in this country, it appears that most people are of the view that the illiterate in society are those who engage in agriculture. There is the need for us to shift that narrative. And His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has signaled that drive in the NDC manifesto. That is why we have also said that we are going to create agro-processing centers in areas that are heavily populated in terms of the production of agriculture. And we identified areas like the Eastern Corridor from Bimbla going. You know that when it comes to the production of yam, this is one sector we can take advantage of. We anticipate, or we are planning, to create an agro-processing sector, factory there, that will process the yams and equally provide ready markets for yams produced by farmers. So if you look at the NDC plan, in terms of job creation, I think that it is holistic.
But the core of the job creation plan is the big push. And earlier, what you said, if I may, earlier what you said is that the construction sector jobs under the previous Mahama administration could not have been referred to as sustainable. The big push is also anchored on construction and infrastructure. How then do you marry the two? How are those jobs sustainable?
When I started, I made the point that sometimes there's the need for you to lay the economic foundation in terms of investment infrastructure. Irrespective of the investments you inject into job creation, if your economic fundamentals in terms of infrastructure investments are weak, be rest assured that those jobs will not become sustainable. And if you look at the agenda to invest in the agriculture sector in terms of agro-processing zones, these are jobs that are going to be sustainable because they will run 24/7 and they will run throughout the year. Even if you are out of the farming season, you have produce that will be processed until the next farming season. And people will be engaged directly in these processing zones.
You know, the nature of the farming that is done in Ghana is very subsistence-based. People and their family members. And we don't have a lot of large-scale farmers who can actually employ a large number of people. And would you say that is a challenge?
It is a major challenge, but that is why the NDC manifesto says that there is a need for us to invest directly in the agriculture sector. And if we are willing to put in that investment, be rest assured that we can move away from that subsistence level of farming. Even if we are still going to operate under the subsistence level of farming, there's a way we can formalize it and make it productive in terms of contribution to our overall growth as a country. And you see, aside that, we spoke about what we call the 1 million coders program. You and I know, I think he made reference to that, thanks to the power of social media. We have our colleagues joining us via Zoom and other social media networks. But that is not enough. Even COVID has shown that there is the need for us to invest heavily in terms of IT. And whether we like it or not, in the next phase of economic development, information technology is going to play a key role. How is a country like Ghana?
Shed some more light on this when I come back to you, so that we can close on the issues of the big push. When we come to infrastructure, IT, that's also another area that we really have to look at very closely.
Then if just under a minute, I can chip in what we call the Ghana Framework for Industrial Revitalization and Transport Support Transformation, what we call the Ghana First, under the NDC manifesto. You see, there are vital sectors of the economy that we need to invest in and revitalize. These are already existing sectors. If we're able to get it running, like His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama said recently at Tema Oil Refinery, if we get it running, it has the capacity to employ more than it does now. And not just creating that level of employment, it also has the potential of raking in foreign exchange for this country. And in the nutshell, it grows the GDP of this country. And by extension, creating more jobs in the system.
Can I get a direct answer to this? The 1 million jobs, are they direct jobs or indirect jobs?
The 1 million jobs, as far as the NDC manifesto is concerned, these are going to be direct jobs. Are they sustainable?
Are they permanent or they are casual?
They are going to be permanent. We're not going to do it.
On the construction.
Even under not really, not just exclusively under construction alone. Even under the 1 million job, we have indicated that, especially my colleagues on the other side, you see, there's some funny strategy that they employ, and that has to do with closing one aspect of opportunity for recruitments into public service and civil services in this country, and they pretend, on the other hand, to be opening another sector. And I'll give you an example. Under the NDC government, When His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was in power, we never had anything called National Service for Teacher Trainees who were out of school. There was what we call automatic recruitment into Ghana Education Services. Into the Ghana Education Service. These were direct jobs, but currently, under their system, they have introduced what we call the National Service Scheme. After 1 year of national service, teacher trainees and nurses who are coming out of college are likely to sit at home unemployed, adding to the unemployment mix of the country. And we have said that under an NDC government, all these barriers to employment will be cleared.
The national service is a barrier to employment?
In terms of teacher trainees and that of nursing training colleges, national service constitutes a barrier to employment. How? Because under their system, what they are currently doing is that when you do the national service for 1 year, you are put off. And you go and join the Unemployed Graduates Association of Ghana. But previously, that used not to be.
If the national service was not there, would they be absorbed directly? Because we know that the health and education sector.
When the national service was not there, we were absorbing them directly. I'm a beneficiary. I finished training college in 2006, 2007. By 2008, I was employed directly. I never went through any national service or whatsoever. I only did national service after my university education.
We'll elaborate a bit more on that when we come back and come to Ijaya to respond. If you're listening to us on Joy FM, it's exactly 6:30 p.m. This is a special edition of Ghana Connects brought to you by Star Ghana with funding from UK Aid, the European Union, and the UK's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development, FCOD. We're live on Joy News and Joy FM. Stay with us. You're live on Ghana Connect here on Joy News and Joy FM. This is a special edition brought to us by Star Ghana. Here in studio with Ija Yawensia, who is with the YEA, and Hamza Suhuyini, who is with the NDC's Jobs and Development Committee, or the manifesto, I believe. Yes, okay. So, Ija, a number of questions were raised about your methods of doing work. Ezekiel, for instance, wanted to know about access. And then Maxwell also talked about the PFJ being moved from existing farmers to incoming farmers, for instance. So what's your response to what you've heard so far?
Right, Daniel, thank you very much once again. Now, the point has to be made, right, that the MPP is not saying, or we can't claim that we have solved unemployment entirely. But the point we are making is that we have a superior track record when it comes to that of the NDC. And why is credibility very important in this election? You've realized around the table that my brother has been running away from the issue of numbers. Now, people went to the polls in 2016 and voted for you. And you come and tell them today that you are not ready to discuss numbers. Why is numbers important? Because it should be verifiable. They can go to the various agencies and that is.
But he did read a number.
No, but these numbers are very questionable. I am a director for research and planning at the Youth Employment Agency. I sit on government's committee in terms of job creation, and these numbers are non-existent. And when our viewers were talking about the issue of sustainability, that is the main point.
So less they've created no jobs.
They're non-existent.
Less they've created no jobs.
Where are these jobs today? Where are these jobs? It's the same question of when we talk about roads. Where are these roads that were being touted in the run-up to the 2016 election? Now, let me give you verifiable data. We can tell you for a fact that from 2017 up to this point, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the MPP have created 2,055,010 jobs. Under that, when you come to government job creation programs has created 1,365,000 jobs. Now, I can give you a breakdown. Planting for Food and Jobs has created 762,300 jobs, NAPCO 100,000, NEIP 92,000, the National Identification Program 35,000, and also the Outgrow Value Chain Fund has created 7,254, and the Ghana Commercial Agriculture Project has created 11,431 jobs. In all, in terms of government-led job creation programs, these are the numbers.
Some of these numbers have also been disputed, it's only fair to say.
But then again, that is why you as the fourth estate of government is there to verify these numbers.
Because, for instance, when it comes to the Planting for Food and Jobs program, we're made to understand that the number 750,000 was inclusive of an estimation of the number of cement or fertilizer bags that are being given out.
No. No, but the point
so
is,
there was an estimation.
No, you see, that is why I'm saying that your role as the fourth estate is very important in verifying these numbers. And we have said that this is our record.
But that's the fact check I'm telling you now.
But I dispute that. I disagree with that.
No, actually, I'm not giving you my fact. I'm not giving you my fact. I'm telling you what the Agric minister told us.
The point I am trying to say, all right, the point I am trying to say is that we wouldn't run away from the numbers game, because the voters out there are counting on us to give them verifiable data. And that is why credibility is important. Daniel, I can sit here and tell you that Big Push is going to bring 2 million jobs. This is going to do this. That program is going to do that. The former president, when asked about job creation, told the Ghanaian people that he's not a magician. And that is a public record to create these jobs. So now this same person is coming and telling us about all these new jobs. Is he a magician now to create those jobs? It is very important that you look at track record. That's what I'm saying, that as the MPP, our track record is superior. Now on the question of access, my brothers and sisters and our viewers listening to us, public service delivery has been one of the hallmarks of the MPP administration. We have opened the public sector organizations out there. We have passed the Right Information Bill. It tells you that we've opened up agencies for everyone. Access is there. When you go to any IP website, they have the calendar in which people can apply for their programs. If you go to MBSSI,
the question is about cronyism and whether or not you won't be picked because you have a party card.
The problem, and I am a young man. If it wasn't for the program, I would have mentioned my name. I'm a young man. And the general problem out there is that there's a perception, and I don't discount that almost every government sector-led opportunity has an element of corruption in there. But also, and I admit that, but the point I'm trying to say is that there are genuine people who went in there, applied for the programs, and got in. Okay. So is it a case that they tried and they didn't get in? Daniel, you are a journalist. You know what NEIP has been doing. You've been to programs at the Flagstaff House where the president is giving funds to young entrepreneurs who have superior business plans. Okay. They are verifiable, and it's not as a result of cronyism or corruption. It is them. In terms of planting for food and jobs, for instance, all right, the impact has been phenomenal. And two days ago, Ghana was declared as a food basket of the sub-region. And it's as a result of the impact that planting for food and jobs.
By the Agric minister himself.
No, but in terms of, and it's very, you can look that, in terms of production across the sub-region, look at the numbers. We have a superior number across the sub-region, and it's as a result of the planting for food and jobs program. So it is very important. On the question of sustainability, all right, now, solving unemployment requires long-term planning. And in that long-term planning, you can't say that before you want to wait in the long term to crack the code on sustainability before you recruit people. No. One area to look at it, and the challenge we are generally having is that Ghana, or even across the globe, we're experiencing what you call, even though the economics are growing, the private sector is not growing to the extent to be able to absorb the number of young people entering the labor market. That is why governments would have to look at opening up new sectors of the economy. And we have shown that commitment by opening up the railway sector. Daniel, do you know the number of jobs that the railway sector alone can create in this country? Close to 1 million jobs. And we have shown that commitment.
The manifesto commitment was to build a railway from up to Paga. We have not seen.
No, you should send.
We have not seen up to a third of that.
Send your reporters to the Ministry of Railway Development. They can take you around the country to see the level of growth. I'm from Secondary Takrady. Exactly.
And so I know the length of railway that has been there from the years that I have lived there. We know the railways that has been from here to Tema and what have you.
Exactly.
The question is that if it's about opening up of that sector, just quickly, the commitment to Paga has not reached a third.
I mean, you are using only Paga as an example, as a yardstick.
Because that's the manifesto promise.
But Daniel, you can't just wake up one day and would have constructed a road from Accra to Paga. But let's look at the commitments that have been made. The NDC had 8 years in office. What did they do about the railway sector? They had 8 years in government. What did they do about the automotive industry? Today, as a result of the overarching government's industrialization policy, we are bringing in direct foreign investment to the country, especially in the areas of the automotive. Now, VW assembles cars in Ghana. And if if in the next 2 to 3 years, we're able to complement that with a sustainable program, a lot of young Ghanaians will find themselves in the industry.
Thank you.
And that is what government, that is what elections, why elections matter and governments matter. And credibility is also very important.
You know, I want us to end, I want you to stop on that VW note, because Kweku Sechi has joined us, and he is a graduate of a technical university. And Kweku has a very key intervention to make, particularly about our investment in technology and ICT. Kweku, thanks for joining us. Right, Kweku, please unmute your microphone and speak up for us. It's a bit difficult to hear you. You're listening to the special edition of Ghana Connect, brought to you by Star Ghana. Kweku, I can hear you clearly now. Please go ahead.
I said, I think this is a very laudable initiative that Joy FM Joy News is embarking on. Graduates of technical universities, we need. I think they should be exempted from this NAPCO program. As someone who has been there and also did my national service there, most of these people don't fit into the public sector office life kind of thing. And, the amount of money that we are pushing, our government is pushing into this program, is just too much. These are the little things that can help these graduates to become entrepreneurs. Most of them are entrepreneurs, but simply by, the kind of skills that they've gotten from school. And they also learn entrepreneurship. So they have their own little business ventures, business plans, how, they have them that they want to initiate. But, where are the funds coming from? No funds. Why don't we exempt them from the program, give them some seed money, tell them, hey, we are giving you loans. Do this. If they are doing 3 years of NAPCO, they are getting about close to 30,000 Ghana cedis. We give it to them as loans. Bring your business plans, your business model. Let's work on it. Let's see how we can help you. Go here, go here, go here. Use this money. You can do something. And by the time the 3 years come, most of them will be able to pay back. Or even if 30% are successful, these are people who are going to employ other people. And we are going to, have a very, good economy, because these are people who are embarking on their own journeys. I think what we should do, leaving them to do 3 years without getting anything, and they all still want to be roped into the mainstream public sector work. It doesn't augur well for the economy.
Okay.
And this is my little contribution.
Kweku, it's a very insightful point that you make, that let us rather look at focusing on investing in young people to become entrepreneurs. I'm just curious, are you a NAPCO recruit yourself?
No, I didn't. I wanted to embark on my own entrepreneurial journey, and I've started it. I think that's helping me. Most of these NAPCO people, they go there, they don't work. They go there and work 2 times in a week. And I hope that the government will set up a committee, to investigate, to assess the NAPCO, and you will find out that it hasn't helped the nation, because they're all already, the offices were overstaffed. The companies, the organizations already were overstaffed, and government refused to recruit new people. And, our leaders, just pushing graduates there, and they go and they're already overstaffed places. They go and do 2 days in a week. When they come back home, and they're getting paid for no work done.
Kweku, I will step in at this point and direct that thought to Hamza, first of all, because it's in your manifesto that you want to formalize all the NAPCO recruits.
Absolutely.
But we do know there are some NAPCO offices where they are overstaffed, like Kweku is saying, and it's not efficient.
I think that it's not just some NAPCO offices. If government had the space to give sustainable or permanent employment to the NAPCO employees, I'm sure that they would have done that in the various places that they posted them. It simply speaks to the fact that the public sector is choked. And for that matter, government has no briefing space in terms of creating permanent jobs for these NAPCO employees.
So how is the NDC going to formalize
the NDC has said that we will look at the numbers that are currently employed under NAPCO, And as part of our exit strategy, we will ensure that we look at their specific backgrounds in terms of skills acquisition and train them accordingly under the National Apprenticeship Program. And give those of them who require some technical expertise the needed training, and those who want to go on their own, we support them with resources to do so. And mind you, recently again, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, in making references to his experiences in government, spoke of the fact that when they were trying to push up investments in the oil and gas sector, they were faced with the unfortunate reality of where they needed to bring in expertise, and we couldn't find some. Simply because some of these technical job or educational programs, we look down upon it as a people. And the next NDC government will invest heavily in that regard under the TVET program. And you see, Dan, he said something that we should not overlook. He made reference to the fact that those who are currently employed under NAPCO, majority of them go and they have no places to work. That simply tells you that it still falls in line with the frustrations of the Ghanaian youth. He fell short of telling you that NAPCO is deceptive. Bottom line.
I have a question for you on this NAPCO thing. Just give me a moment. I'm going to read to you what Sammy Jemfi told us. He was sitting in I think in the same chair you're sitting in, when he was on the lockdown. And he said, when the NAPCO trainees were engaged, it was supposed to last 3 years. That will elapse this year. Government seeking elections approaching, is looking for votes, has decided to extend it for 6 months. Former President John Mahama says he doesn't believe in ad hoc jobs. He appreciates the fact that unemployment is a big problem and a security threat to the nation. So what he will do is make all NAPCO beneficiaries permanent. It ends there.
That's true.
There was no caveat about training, about support.
That's why credibility is important.
Daniel,
people want to just say what
can I make?
But Daniel, the point has to be made that credibility is very important.
Allow Hamza to answer the
ideas.
You see, when we say that we are going to make all of them permanent, I never indicated that we are throwing some of them off the chain. I told you that as part of the People's Manifesto, we have certain incentives for even startups. And if you look at under the youth development model of the NDC manifesto, we have indicated that there are people with expertise in terms of engineering, fresh graduates from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology who are engineering students who have graduated with beautiful certificates in terms of class rankings and are currently part of the NAPCO with no designated job description as far as their various posting areas.
So how are you going to make them permanent?
We are saying that under our system, we will look at the specific skill qualification of these people and open up places in the oil and gas sector for them, in the road construction industry, where their expertise will be needed. And we have said that is the sustainability. And apart from that, we have said that we are not leaving anyone behind. We have said that in cases where all of them cannot enter, in terms of engineering, in the oil and gas sector and the construction sector, we will put them into group of cooperatives and assist them under a government-initiated program where these cooperatives will form companies supported by government to bid for specific contracts that will be brought to their level as entry clearance into the construction industry. So you are an engineering student from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Technology into roads. You are done. We would put you into a cooperative of 2 or 3, bring some specific jobs from the road construction industry, either graveling, bitumen surfacing, to your level, and support you to do it and open the way for you to go into the construction sector. These are verifiable and viable ways of empowering the youth. And Daniel, finally, you see, when we talk of credibility, Eja must understand that the moderation the NDC leadership exhibits, especially His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, is not synonymous to being insincere. Our challenge is that our opponents on the other side believe that the only way to win elections in this country is to be deceptive. Our position is different. We have made commitments in terms of realistic commitments as to how to empower the youth. Because of our humility and moderation, there's the tendency for the likes of Eja to think that the NDC has no plan of action in terms of empowering the youth. On this very table, he spoke beautifully about jobs that they have created. Remember, prior to the 2016 election, they spoke about 1 district, 1 factory. For almost an hour now, has he made reference to the number of jobs 1 factory, 1 district created? Do we know where the factories are situated?
We can give him the opportunity to answer that.
I'm coming. Finally, the NAPCO that he eloquently made reference to and spoke about the 100,000 people gainfully employed or under NAPCO. I don't think that is not even, to use the word gainfully employed is to empower them a little. Those ad hoc jobs, like my brother said, let us be very honest with ourselves. Let us be very honest with ourselves. No. What is the real impact in terms of sustainable jobs for the people, if not to win political power? And we have said that we will not engage in ad hoc programs meant to deceive the youth of this country.
You would have to wrap up at this point, Hamza, because we need to move on. Pardon me, Hamza. Pardon me, Hamza. I told you that over a minute ago.
All right, Daniel. So, I mean, I think I would crave your indulgence. And this is your own My Joy News Online.
My Joy Online.
My Joy Online, sorry. And the heading, the publication is, this was reported on the 23rd of September 2020 by myjoyonline.com, and it says NAPCO begins to transition into permanent employment scheme. Your station reported it. Now, Daniel,
how many recruits have transitioned?
I mean, it tells you the point we are making about sustainability is that NAPCO is not a program that you can necessarily describe.
You believe in numbers, just throw out the numbers.
As an ad hoc measure. It tells you that NAPCO was designed with an exit strategy in mind, a problem that NDC had failed to solve over their 8 years.
How many recruits have transitioned?
You see, the point I'm trying to make is that in terms of the design of NAPCO, all right, it had the exit strategy instilled in the design. And it tells you that with time, and if you look into our manifesto, we've said that when Ghanaians give us a mandate, come 7th December 2020, we are going to scale up NAPCO. And the exit strategy and transition into permanent.
How many recruits have transitioned from NAPCO?
No. You see, the point I'm making is that the point, and I don't want it to be about numbers. Not that I don't want to mention the numbers. The point I'm making is that the NDC over the period failed to institute exit strategies into these ad hoc programs. And we have done that, and you have reported it. Now that we need to really have a conversation about why we have the graduate unemployment as we have it, Daniel.
I need to move to my other guest to get final words on this.
I've not responded to what you said.
You're here to respond to my questions and nothing else.
I'm saying,
I appreciate that, but I do need to move on.
Credit facility that the NDC entered into. That is why we have the graduate unemployment challenge we have now.
Thank you very much, Ejaya. Let me move to my other guests very quickly and get final words before I move on. I'm going to start with you. Right. So I just want to ask a very direct question to all of my guests. I'm going to begin with you, Florence McCaffrey. Will jobs influence your vote when you enter the ballot box on December 7th?
Of course. Definitely.
Kweku, how about you?
Yeah.
I think the biggest problems we're having right now is unemployment, and a lot of the youth, in all manner of things because they are not gainfully employed. So job is very important. The little things that the government need to give the youth to, someone has learned graphic design in the university, it doesn't even have a computer. Someone has learned engineering, doesn't even have tools. And these are the small things that we have to resource them to be able to enter into their own entrepreneurial journeys. So if any political party or if any leadership out there can break it down for us and initiate programs that will help us like this, then that will be fine. And the ad hoc measures that
So I'll take that as a yes from you on that, Kweku. I'll take that as a yes from you that jobs will influence your vote in December.
Of course.
Right. Thank you so much. Robert, will jobs influence your vote?
Absolutely. Looking at how things are done in this country, I believe jobs is one of the most critical ways to make sure that development proceeds and continues. Looking at as at now, I believe education and jobs is going to be in my mind before I vote. I believe education is one of the most important aspects in the country. And as at now, we can see that education has grown in this country, where we have the free compulsory universal basic education, and as such we also have the free SHS. So these two, I believe, will also be in my mind before I also talk about job creation too, because see, it's very, very serious. People are dying because of jobs, and when you go up to the Upper East region, in Bondonia, that place, I did some research there. The people want to work, but there's only one rainy season. June, July. That is when it rains. So the people will sit there, just imagine from June, July, finish training, September, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So like 10 months. And they'll be sitting there waiting.
That's amazing. I wonder how they survive, Robert.
The rains are not coming as usual. I hope you understand. And so if the government can also help with irrigations all over the country, I think it's going to help. But for me, I will vote based on education and works.
Thank you so much.
And jobs.
Thank you so much, Robert. Ezekiel, you're a young businessman. Is jobs on your agenda when you're going to the polls?
Yes, very much. And looking at the from both of them, I would say that they've all made mention of how they are going to create jobs and stuff like that. But I mentioned right from the beginning that the reality on the ground is different from what they are saying on paper. And so what would really influence my decisions in the ballot box would be which party gets outlined.
Right. Ezekiel's audio may have been sketchy, but I did hear a clear yes that jobs will influence his vote. How about Maxwell? Finally, Maxwell, jobs, is it on your agenda when you are going to the polls in December?
Yes, of course. Because how do the youth contribute to national development when they are idle? It is only when everybody is engaged in the activity, as in job, that is when we can all help to push this country forward.
Okay.
So it is a matter that needs to be considered. Not only me, but the general youth when they are exercising their vote.
Thank you so much, Maxwell. Robert, Ezekiel, Florence, Kweku, for joining us this evening. This is a special edition of Ghana Connect brought to you by Star Ghana with funding from UK Aid. The European Union as well has been very, very helpful. And of course, UK's Foreign Commonwealth and Development, FCOD. We're going to wrap up with a few of your messages, those of you who have connected with us from home. Albert King Enum from Odum Cape Coast says, or Enum Odum Cape Coast says, by law, national service is mandatory for all tertiary education students. Is not a barrier to employment. Newly trained teachers don't stay home after their national service. They are employed as soon as they finish their service. The current newly trained teachers will finish their service in December 2020, and they have filled their online postings. They will receive their appointments and report at their schools in January 2021. Philip from Akache, well, he says both NDC and NPP have failed us. They will just train you for 6 months and let you go, and you'll be doing nothing. A big thank you as well to Eja Yao Insia, the Director of Research at the Youth Employment Agency, and Hamza Suhuyini, who is Hamza Suhuyini is a member of the NDC's Jobs and Development Committee. None of you have kept to the 30-second mark I'm giving you, and so I don't have trust for your 30 seconds. We would have to wrap up. Up next is Joy News Prime here on the Joy News channel, and the first take if you're listening to us on Joy FM. My name is Daniel Dazi. Have a good evening.